Welcome back to our deep dive into some of the biggest console flops in gaming history. If you thought the consoles in the first part were bad, just wait, because today we've got a whole new set of forgotten failures.
Billy don't be a hero.
Trouble began when they decided I was executive member.
Get out of that.
First up, we have the Pioneer Laser Active. Released in 1993, this multimedia machine was meant to play laser disc games. But its price tag of over $1,000 was just too high for most gamers. It tried to do everything, play music, movies, games, but in the end, it did none of them well enough to succeed.
Home theater so advanced, you don't just watch it.
君もスーパーモデルになれる500万通りの着せ替えで目指せスーパーモデルルーキーでドリームチェンジゲームでシールも作れちゃう
私たちのシールコンピューターカシオルーピー榎本かな子漫画家宣言リトルロマンスならテレビでキャラクターやストーリーを作れてシールにできちゃう
Now, let's talk about the Casio Loopy, a console released in 1995 in Japan, aimed specifically at young girls. It had a quirky feature that set it apart. You could actually print stickers from the games you played. It was an interesting idea, but unfortunately, it just couldn't compete with the powerhouse consoles like the PlayStation or Sega Saturn, which dominated the market at the time.
500万通りの着せ替えで目指せスーパーモデル
Next! Do it!
フルアニメーションゲームマシン PCFX
The game is FX!
NEC
Next up, we have the NEC PCFX, released in 1994 as the successor to the TurboGrafx 16. Despite high hopes, it struggled to make an impact. With its unconventional design and limited game library, it failed to attract both developers and players. The PCFX couldn't compete with the rising popularity of the PlayStation, and its lack of third-party support sealed its fate. Many of its games were overly focused on anime-style visuals, further limiting its appeal outside of a niche market.
だからマルチメディアとかインタラクティブとかプレイディアならできるんだよねはいクイズで遊ぶ図鑑で遊ぶもちろんゲームも楽しめるねやってみよバンダイからプレイディアだよ
The Bandai Playdia is another strange entry in the world of failed consoles. Released in 1994, this multimedia system wasn't really trying to compete with the big players like the PlayStation or Sega Saturn. Instead, it was all about offering an interactive experience, combining anime, video clips, and simple games. The Playdia aimed at a younger audience, providing content like anime-themed games and educational titles.
どこへ消えた
左よ左へ行くの
ジャパンそうか上だな
サンキュー
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. In a world of fun and fantasy, and ever-changing views, and computer terminology, Commodore is news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
In 1990, Commodore attempted to capitalize on the success of their popular Commodore 64 home computer with the release of the 64GS, a console version designed to bring the classic experience to the living room. However, the 64GS struggled to make an impact. While the Commodore 64 was a hit as a personal computer, the 64GS came out at a time when the market was already shifting to 16-bit consoles, like the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. With its limited game library and outdated design, the 64GS failed to impress. It relied on the same old cartridges from the original Commodore 64, meaning that it didn't have the appeal of newer, more advanced games. Unfortunately, it couldn't compete with the flashy graphics and innovative titles from its competitors, leading to its swift decline. Next on our list, we have the Apple Pippin, a console released in 1996 that aimed to bring gaming and multimedia together. Developed by Apple and manufactured by Bandai, the Pippin had an ambitious goal: to blend the functionality of a computer with the accessibility of a gaming console. But here's the catch: it came with a $599 price tag. That's more than a PlayStation and a Nintendo 64 combined at the time.
Give up my Atari? My television?
How about for this?
You bet your asteroid.
Introducing the revolutionary Vectrex arcade system. No TV set needed. Instead, Vectrex has a real arcade screen built in, so you get challenging real arcade graphics and sounds with every Vectrex cartridge. No wonder Vectrex was chosen 2-to-1 over Atari and Intellivision for real arcade gameplay. So compare. Discover how Vectrex brings real arcade play home.
This is an ordinary TV video game. This is Vectrex, the only video game system with its own video screen. Take it anywhere, just plug it in. It's your own personal arcade. A high-performance system with a built-in game plus a whole collection of arcade cartridges like Scramble, Pole Position, Berserk. So if you're into video games, forget the TV. Get into Vectrex. Light pen and 3D imager available.
The Vectrex was a bold innovation for its time. Released in 1982, it was the first and only home console to come with its own built-in screen. Instead of using pixels, the Vectrex displayed crisp vector graphics, giving its games a unique arcade feel. But timing is everything, and the Vectrex hit shelves just before the infamous video game crash of 1983. And that's it for part 2 of our journey through gaming's biggest flops. These consoles may not have won, but they've earned their spot in gaming history. Missed any? Drop your favorites in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to Rotten Donut for more forgotten gaming stories.
You and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be the only one for me is you.